What's up, guys? So in my last video, I did a review of a whey protein isolate, and I thought now would be a great time to transition from that into a video all about protein powder. I want to talk about the different types and give you guys the information so that you can make a better choice when purchasing a protein powder. I'm not going to get too technical. I want to try and keep it simple, but still also give you guys the information you need. What I want to talk about is primarily the different types of whey protein, but then also there's whey and there's casein and that stuff. So I'll dive into that. In terms of whey protein, that's your most typical protein powder, but what is whey? Whey is actually the liquid that separates during cheese production. If you've ever opened a new thing of yogurt and there's that liquid film on top, that's actually whey. So just that little bit of information for you. Now, when it comes to protein powder, you have Whey Concentrate, Whey Isolate, and then there's also Hydrolyzed. Sometimes you can even get an isolate that's hydrolyzed. So it can get confusing in figuring out what's best for you and also what it all means in terms of why you're paying more or why you're paying less. So with a whey concentrate, it's the most simple manufacturing form of a whey protein powder, meaning that it's a lot easier to produce. It doesn't go through as strenuous of a manufacturing process, and you wind up with a little bit lesser quality. I mean, you're still getting a good product. It's still a whey protein powder, but you're looking at probably around 80% protein content. And then there's also fats, carbs, and lactose in there as well. Now, with that being said, a whey concentrate versus an isolate. With an isolate, it's a bit more of an intense process for filtering, but it also filters out all that fats, carbs, and lactose. So if you're someone who is lactose sensitive or lactose intolerant, an isolate is definitely going to be a better choice. Also, if you're someone who's dieting or your goals are to lose weight or weight loss, then an isolate is also going to be the go-to because you don't have those fats and carbs extras in there. So it's a lot more lean and it's a higher content of protein. So you're looking at about 90% protein content, and that's typically where you get that around the 27 gram mark per serving for an isolate. Whereas with a whey concentrate, you'll probably get somewhere between 20, 22. Now, with those two being talked about, there's also a lot of blends out there that blend the two together. So you have a mix of isolate and concentrate. Those are actually still really good products. A lot of what I've purchased in the past have actually been blends of isolate and concentrate. I don't have any issues with lactose or anything like that, so it's never been an issue for me. I obviously prefer to have a cleaner protein with less of the fats and carbs. So I typically always hunt down an isolate or an isolate blend, and you'll get a really good quality product that way, and it's mostly middle of the road. So it's in between a concentrate and a full-on isolate, and it's also sits in the middle of the road in terms of money. So if you're on a budget, it's a really good option to look at, like an isolate blend. It's blended with a concentrate, but you still wind up with a really good product with a nice high serving of protein and a good quality product without being too much filler. Now, Hydrolyzed, I'm only going to touch on it like just a little bit because it's not as common. You won't encounter it as often as you do the other two, but simply put, it's pre-digested protein. So it's ideal for someone who has digestive issues, or if you have a lot of stomach issues, a hydrolyzed protein would be a great option as well. It's going to absorb faster because it's pre-digested, so it's the fastest absorbing protein that you can get. And like I said, sometimes you can find an isolate that's been hydrolyzed, so you get like a super clean, high protein percentage, and then you get that fast absorption as well. I haven't seen them in my typical supplement store. Like I said, you probably won't encounter them as often, but if you are someone with specific dietary needs, then I would definitely look into hydrolyzed protein. I know there's a couple sites that offer it. If you do like My Protein or Canadian Protein, those two I know for sure offer it, and it might be a nice option. Otherwise, the isolate is definitely my recommendation for someone who is looking to lose weight, or if you have any lactose issues, that's the go-to there. It basically comes down to absorption and the manufacturing process between the two. That's with whey protein. Then you also have a casein protein, which casein protein, the best way you can look at it is whey protein would be like a fast absorbing, and then a casein protein would be a slow absorbing. In terms of pairing those with your routine or your exercise, I would always recommend drinking a whey protein directly post-workout, so you get that absorption right away. And then you build while you sleep, so a casein protein would be a great option before bed or late at night, as like instead of having a snack, mix up a casein protein shake, drink that, and then that slow release will build while you sleep all night and help you repair your muscles. So that's a great option for that. One thing I wanted to touch on as well that I mentioned in my last video was protein spiking. This is also called amino spiking or nitrogen spiking. The reason it's called nitrogen spiking is because that's how they actually measure the content of protein. They measure the nitrogen, which is built into the amino acids of the protein powder. So if you see a lot of extra amino acids in there, there's a couple to look out for. There's a couple amino acids that stand out that are filler, that aren't beneficial, like taurine. If you see taurine in a protein powder, chances are it's there simply to boost that nitrogen level, therefore boosting how much protein content is actually in it. Glycine is another one. So keep an eye out for those things, or if there's just a bunch of extra amino acids besides your typical branch chain amino acids that you should see. So keep an eye out for the extra fillers that just don't have a place there, because those are in there simply to boost that nitrogen, which therefore boosts the amount of protein. Just be wary of it. It's a horrible practice, but it does happen, and I want to give you guys that information. That's the quick and dirty on protein powder. If you have any more questions, if you feel like I didn't dive deep enough or you're still left wondering what's what, please drop a comment below, send me a message, anything like that. If you like this type of video that's informative and knowledge-based, then by all means, please let me know as well. Hit that subscribe button and I'll keep it coming. Thank you so much for watching. See ya.